Okay. So this session is now being recorded.
Perfect.
And let me remove participants from hold. Perfect. We have people dropping in. Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Let's just give everyone a minute to join before we begin. Feel free to go ahead and add where you guys are joining from in this little Q&A box on the bottom. Oh, Ibrahim here is joining from Dubai. Hi, Ibrahim. We have Miguel from Catersville, Richard from San Diego, Caleb from Mississippi, Tim from Vegas. Tim, there's a conference going on, looks like in Vegas, like always. But let's see more of those here. Awesome. Let's get this thing kicked off. Thank you everyone for joining us today for our Fieldwire for Internal Finishes Subcontractors webinar today. My name is Pranati Gompa and I'm a program manager here at Fieldwire. Before we begin, I would like to address a few housekeeping items. To ensure a smooth session, attendees will be muted, but please don't hesitate to ask any questions you may have in that little Q&A panel, the same place where you guys were adding where you're from. And at the end of the session, we'll have a Q&A session. Again, we'll do our best to address as many questions as we can. And for any questions that we don't get to, our experts will reach out to you directly. We also have some poll questions during the webinar for you to participate in. And please feel free to select any answer when the question pops up. And additionally, we have a short 5 question survey at the end of this webinar. So once you exit the webinar, it'll give you a link. Just click on that link and it should take you to a quick survey. It's quick 5 questions. We would really appreciate it if you can take like a couple of minutes and fill it out. The survey helps us to determine the usefulness of the content that we deliver and also helps us to plan our future webinars. Awesome. So before we dive into the webinar today, please take a minute to fill this first poll question you have. Just a quick poll question. Would like to understand what kind of company you guys work for. Um, AC, general contractor, subcontractor, others. Perfect. Let's give it like another couple of seconds here for people to answer. Awesome. Let me end this. And looks like we have a healthy mix of GCs and subs here. And I have another quick poll question for you guys to answer before we head in. Just understanding what your role is at your company. PMs, PC, project engineers, super foremen, project executives, and others. Let's give it another couple of minutes here. Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that. Yeah, without further ado, I would like to welcome Kevin Driscoll, our Senior Solutions Engineer, and Talo Vadia, the owner of BMA Doors. Over to you, Kevin.
Awesome. Thank you, Pranathi. Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Driscoll, and I'm a senior construction solutions engineer here at Fieldwire. I have a degree in mechanical engineering and over a decade designing and constructing HVAC and plumbing systems. And I'm a licensed engineer in the state of Colorado. I'd also like to welcome our special guest today, Tal Ovadia. Tal.
Hey everyone, thanks Kevin. I'm Tal, I'm the owner of BMA Doors. We're a commercial door subcontractor located in Atlanta, Georgia, and we do work all over the United States. We are an install-only company. We do not supply doors. We're installing doors and hardware on projects across industries: healthcare, government, education, office buildings, hotels, hospitality.
Awesome. Thank you, Tal. So, quick agenda for today. We'll start off with a brief introduction of what Fieldwire is and how we can help streamline your construction processes. Then Tal's going to walk us through how BMA Doors leverages Fieldwire to increase production, reduce risk on the job site. Then we'll take a step back and walk through some more generic examples and practical workflows within Fieldwire for all interior finish subcontractors, things like painting, drywall, doors and windows, millwork, those sort of things. So, who are we at Fieldwire? Fieldwire is designed to connect the field and the office, and we're many people at Fieldwire come from the construction industry. Like myself, we like to say that construction is in our DNA. And so we want to make it as easy as possible for the field to access information that they'll need to perform their craft while providing a way for office workers to report that progress to stakeholders, owners, GCs, and the like. Our background in construction has shaped the platform to address the specific challenges that you'll face in the field, such as ease of use, offline access, and just overall app reliability. As your team continues to adopt Fieldwire, we made sure that it will continue to support you as your company grows. So, with today's webinar, we're going to focus on a few key areas of the Fieldwire platform. Obviously, Fieldwire encompasses a lot, and we don't have time to cover everything. So today, we're going to do a deep dive into plans, tasks, and photos primarily, walking you through how we can use task workflows to document work and track, completed items on the job site. So, without further ado, we're going to kick it back to Tal, and he's going to walk us through how BMA Doors leverages Fieldwire. So, Tal, I'm going to stop sharing, and you can take the screen.
All right. Thanks very much, Kevin. So I just give you kind of a quick intro on BMA. Like we said, a commercial door subcontractor. We've been using Fieldwire for a little over 7 years now, and it has really grown with our business, and we've kind of grown ourselves into Fieldwire, making sure that as we develop new services, new lines, we're now working out of a warehouse and doing pre-installation. So all of those things, we've been able to really find the agility within Fieldwire to help us continue to do the things we always want to do, which is get accurate information timely from the field to our project managers and ultimately be able to deliver whatever we need to our customers. So, Kevin, if you don't have any specific questions, I'll jump right into one of our projects.
Yeah, I would say go ahead and hop into a project. And can you maybe walk us through how, from the ground up, you're leveraging, maybe project setup, project templates within Fieldwire?
Sure. So at the top here, we have an ability to look at all of our projects, see all of our people, obviously review account information, and here work with templates that help us set up projects more quickly. So as you can see right now, we've got 57 projects that are active. We could create a new project and start with the form here and bring in a blank project. We also have the opportunity to create a project from a template that we've created. And so what we can do is, depending on the structure of the project and what we know of it going in, we can select a template that is more appropriate, that might have certain custom attributes or features that are either on or off, given what that project will entail, whether we're going to install it first in the warehouse and then in the field, or if we're going straight to the field, whether we're performing that work with a subcontractor or with our own employees, and even by GC. So we could have a project template for, a general contractor that we've worked with and prefers things a specific way, or if we're doing work through a supplier. A lot of times we're doing like a turnkey project underneath a supplier. And some of those little features might be different from project to project. Nothing necessarily crazy, but it saves a few clicks as you get the project going. So this is Fort Novosel. It's a project that we're doing out of our warehouse. And the first place I'll take you is plans. So the basis of the way Fieldwire is built out is starting with plans, and we bring in the plans that are relevant to us, not obviously the entirety of the plans for the project. So we're bringing in the architecturals, and they're broken out by space, and we can go into any of these. A cool feature down here is we see that plans can be updated. They're dated right now, and if we get a new version, we can see the latest version here and even compare other versions with a layover feature that Fieldwire helps a lot with. So we'll take the plans, and ultimately we're going to layer on top of the plans are our tasks. And the way we do that, and I'll show you a plan that has some tasks on it. So each of these pins is a task, and for us, each task is an opening. And so when we're at a given opening, we want to see what door goes in there and what hardware goes on that door, and then we want to be able to track the progress of that work being done. So we'll get into tasks specifically and some of their features in just a minute, but this is the plan view. And then I can also see all those same tasks over here in the task view, where I see my tasks across statuses. Now, statuses are a way for us. Fieldwire has some standard statuses, and you can edit these and create your own fields. And there's a bunch you can have now. I think it's up to 15 or 18 different statuses. And we track these for our project. So this is something that changes from a project that is directly in the field versus a project that's coming through our warehouse. So every task that gets entered first starts in system. This is kind of our base point for a task. It means nothing's been done. We've just entered it into Fieldwire. Now the software captures this particular opening. And then if we go to a warehouse job, so we have some statuses that tell us that we've received the doors in the warehouse, or we've done some install on them and now they're ready to go to site. They're on site, swinging, etc. And we're even tracking issues over here, and then doors all the way through completion, obviously. So that's how we're using custom statuses. And then the other features that we're using that are sort of custom, and in particular to our templates, are these custom task attributes. So when you open up a task, you're able to see all this information about a task. And like changing the statuses, we're able to make additional attributes over here on this right panel for each task, or that go across tasks. So we can track things other than what Fieldwire is tracking as standard. So start and end date and manpower and cost are standard, but we'll put in like the location of our warehouse. And so this is a list of all our rack locations, and we can select what rack it's on so that we can know where to find this door at any time my installers need to go install it.
Awesome. This is great, Tal. Obviously, you've got a ton of tasks in here, and this probably dashboard provides a really great insight into maybe what percentage you're at on the project. Would love to dive deeper into maybe how you're getting those in. But before we do that, I think we're going to introduce another quick poll question, right, Pranathi? So obviously, this is like the end result of Tal, 800 plus tasks in a project. So curious if you guys are also using Fieldwire to monitor tasks. Looks like probably 75%, so that's great. Fantastic. All right, back to you, Tal. So, um, 800 tasks, that's a lot of tasks, obviously a lot of awesome
Yeah.
data. Creating those one by one would obviously take a ton of time. So how are you getting those into Fieldwire?
Sure. Great question, and important for, I guess, nearly a third of people on the webinar are not using Fieldwire currently. So this is not a one-by-one kind of task import. That is possible. So depending on the nature of the tasks that you're putting in, you can create a new task and you can give it all of these particular attributes or anything that you want. But what we do is basically we do the work ahead of time in Excel. We're getting submittals, door submittals for the doors and the hardware from the supplier. And we do work in Excel to prepare it in a format that can be imported smoothly into Fieldwire. And what we're doing is using this import task here, which can, I believe, do up to 500 rows at a time. And we line up our data that we want with the different columns here that Fieldwire has. And it's really just a simple copy paste. So we do it a column at a time. And we just copy paste up to 500 tasks in here. So for this project, 822 tasks, we would have done this twice, but it's really, 10, 12 clicks and the whole project is set up. And what we'll do is we'll give the title of our tasks are the door numbers, and they all start in the same status. We'll assign categories if we need to, or assign them to individual people. We associate them with a plan so that those pins are already located next to the plan, and then we'll actually drop them at the opening, and we do that inside Fieldwire. And then we use these other features over here, the description of the door, and any related tasks, and the checklists. So for checklists, so once we've dropped all that information in here, we'll just go import tasks. We wait about 30 seconds, maybe less, and it's all done. So those tasks are in Fieldwire, and they're usually, like I said, they all start here in system. And then as a task progresses through its life cycle, we'll move it and change its status. And you can do that either by dragging and dropping into a new status, or you can do it by going into the task itself and changing the status that it's in. So I could change it from in warehouse to any of its other statuses. But what we're doing with checklists, and we do this before we import the tasks so that they're associated with existing checklists already in Fieldwire, is when we go down here to our checklists are used for the hardware sets. So when you open up this door 1051B, I want my employees to be able to see what that door looks like. So it's a single door, and these are its dimensions, and it goes in this frame, and this is its location. They can also see that location directly on the plan, and you can click on that plan and open it up to that door, and then it's going to take you right over there to 1051B, and then you can go right back into that opening, and you can see what hardware goes on it. So we've got hardware set 34 on here. And the way we know what hardware set 34 is by managing the checklists in Fieldwire. So we go down to settings for this project. This is project specific over here. We'll go to manage checklists. And here we've got all of our checklists for every hardware set. And if we wanted to create a new checklist, we would just copy and paste from Excel and drop it right in here and hit save. And then we'd have that additional checklist available to associate with any of our tasks. The use of, I'm just going to go back into tasks and open one up, but the use of checklists inside a task for the tasks to be able to be tracked across their life cycle is really just a tremendous value. So I'll open one back up and show you now. This door is swinging. So this is hardware set 9. But because it appears as a checklist, I can see what items have been installed. So this door is swinging, but the rest of the hardware is not on it. It's just got hinges and a closer. And then I can also see who did that work. So everything is timestamped with a user ID. So I know who installed the closer and the hinges on this door and who changed its status. And I know when the last time this particular door was touched by my company. And that becomes super useful along with another feature that I think Kevin wants to get into, which is photos. So knowing the timestamp and when things were done, as well as having photo backup associated with the task, are just super, super helpful in my communication with GC project managers and being able to give them both status updates and identify issues on projects.
Yeah, fantastic. So if I'm understanding correctly, the end installer is responsible for taking photos of the door at its current status, whether that's swinging, whether that's fully completed, and then updating it to the appropriate status. I guess, what are some of the use cases for that information? Are you using it to do progress billing or, prevent back charges? How does that benefit your business?
Yeah, so great question. The first way it benefits my business is just information, right? So we live in a data age, and doors and hardware has not gotten to the data age. So when I started at the company, we had yellow notepads with information from the field scribbled on there, and when you got it, you got it. Sometimes it was just a piece of cardboard with 4 door openings that person worked on that day, and they would snap a photo on their cell phone and send it back to the office. We obviously needed something that was more real time and had real information. And so we kind of went through the process and identified Fieldwire as the software that was going to help us with that. And it's done a tremendous amount for my business. Yes, there is, obviously I can look, right, I can do some quick math and see just kind of based on status, where we are for progress payments. So my PMs will come in here for their jobs and they'll say, okay, well, this many doors moved to swinging this month, or this many doors are sitting incomplete. And here's where we are kind of overall on the job, given that there's, 20 out of 820, or we've installed hardware on 32 that are ready to ship out of 820, and that's kind of like a ballpark to help support progress billing for sure. But I would say more importantly, back charges used to be a thing that we had very little control or pushback over, because we just didn't have requisite evidence to present to say what did or didn't happen. But today, if we get a back charge for damage to a door, we go directly to Fieldwire and we open up that opening. And the first thing we're looking for is, one, when was the last time we were at that door? And two, were we able to document that door was in good or not good condition at the time that we were there? So we can see my employees are very good at taking photos. So this obviously was not installation damage. This was damage from shipping. But we were asked to swing these doors anyway because they had to lock up the space. So what we're doing here is saying, hey, at the time of installation, this damage existed. It was not BMA. And we can produce a report to show that these doors, any given doors that might come back on a punch list later on, were not damaged by my crew. Now, that doesn't mean we can't do the work to help. And, it might be that we can go repair those doors, but it needs to be on T&M because this was not our damage. Obviously, if it's our damage, we're responsible for it. And this is a great way to be able to show that, hey, it wasn't us. So one of the ways that we'll do that is if we get, questions about a particular door, or questions about progress through things going on, or a list of punch items that we need to then either support or defend, we'll do that through reports. And what we can do is, back in this task view, we can generate a report that will give us all the information we need across whatever doors or categories we want to highlight. So The filters in Fieldwire are actually one of my favorite things. They do a great job of just creating filters on as much data, as many data points as possible through the tasks, so that we can really kind of narrow down what we want to look at. So for example, if we only wanted to look at doors that were, that are swinging, we could create a report for doors that are swinging, and we could want to make sure that we're only looking at doors that were swung in the last week. So we say last modified, and we can create filters however many number of weeks we want to look at there. And when we print that report, what we'll end up with is, I'll just share real quickly this other screen to show you what that report looks like. So this is a report that gets kicked out. It's got our logo on it, and it's our color scheme. And this is the swinging status report that we printed. This was a couple days ago. And what it can do is, and you can select how much of this information you want on there and how much you don't. You can kick it out in a PDF, or you can kick it out in Excel. And it's there and ready to send to whoever you want. So if someone asks about, hey, what's the status of, these doors, or you're supposed to be finished with exterior doors, how come, they're not, we don't see that they're done. Well, here is the status of all those doors that are swung. If there were issues or reasons why certain doors weren't swung, we would, include issue items in here as well. And they would be able to see that, door 1052 was not swung because the frame wasn't up, or, whatever that issue was. So reports are very helpful and can go directly, we can email these directly to the client right out of Fieldwire, which is another great feature. So you just kind of produce that report, and you can choose how it gets sent, whether you're downloading it or gets sent directly to participants in the project.
Awesome. Thank you, Tal. This has been really wonderful to see, how detailed and specific you're getting in Fieldwire. And obviously it's been a tremendous value for your business. Really appreciate your time today. If anyone has any questions for Tal, feel free to put them in the chat or in the Q&A there. But I think for now, I'm going to steal the screen share back, and we'll kind of walk through some of those examples on a more general scale here, and walk through how to leverage some of those tools that BMA Doors is leveraging. So perfect. So here we're inside of a project within Fieldwire, obviously, and the core of every job is that plan set, to Tal's point earlier. And so, as everyone knows, super simple to drag and drop those plans into Fieldwire here. We also support sync integrations with Google Drive, SharePoint, Dropbox, Box, or OneDrive. So really wanting to partner with some of those cloud storage platforms to really increase connectivity between different ecosystems. Once you get those drawings into Fieldwire, Fieldwire is going to scan that drawing set, looking for that sheet number in the bottom right of the page. And what it's going to do is it's going to name that sheet based on that sheet number, but it's also going to search for that sheet number across all of the other sheets within the project and dynamically build hyperlinks between other plan callouts, detail sheets, elevation views, those sort of things. So for example, here, if I'm a window subcontractor and I want to view this elevation view to do some sort of window takeoff, I can just pop into this hyperlink that Fieldwire has created automatically and begin to do my window takeoff, maybe make some notes, some highlights, all of that sort of stuff directly on the page here with that breadcrumb back to my original plan set. So it makes that plan viewing experience really nice and seamless, organizing your drawing sets there. The other nice thing about Fieldwire, as we noted, is that all of those tasks, all of those markups sync automatically on your team. This is a collaborative markup environment where if I make a markup here for maybe some additional, millwork in this multi-use room, when I make that markup, it's going to sync to the whole project team. So for example, there, if I'm a PM making some notes, my guy in the field is also going to have access to that markup in that same markup system here. So for example, here I've got access to all of those markups that we've previously synced. I can make my own markups back and forth here, maybe flagging that some sort of signage on this wall needs to be completed. All with that back and forth kind of two-way street of information to be completed. Also a great way to track overall progress photos. If I want to track, the progress of maybe this multi-use room as a super or foreman in the field, I can easily drop that camera icon down, take progress photos again to sync back to the office to let my PM know kind of how that job site is progressing in general. Now, when it comes to the actual task workflows and documenting work that we're doing, a lot of interior finish contractors, it's a lot of repeated kind of piecework. And so typically what we see is work that's kind of bucketed via the statuses into a few kind of general themes, like maybe a status for material that's been purchased, or waiting in a warehouse. Then that would move through a status where it's been marked as ready for install. That could signify that it's been shipped to the job site and it's sitting in a laydown yard somewhere, and then ready to be installed. The foreman or installer would then install that work and then mark that as completed, documenting that work in the process. So what that might look like here is if I'm a guy in the field, I would go ahead and load up my tasks, and I can see here in this case, I've got to do, maybe this was marked as ready for install, and I need to go install door 103. If I'm fresh on the job and I don't know exactly where that is, I can just go ahead and click that little mini map. It'll take me right there. Okay, this is a corridor door here. Maybe it's got some extra equipment for key card access, those sort of things. And I can, to Tal's point, pull up all the specific information that I need, the parts and pieces to install that via those checklists. If you're a window contractor, that could be the specific framing and installation methods for windows. For millwork, could be the types of hinges or types of finishes. I'm going to go ahead and install that work and then document that with photos. Maybe even, I think I saw Tal, taking a short video of some of the doors opening and closing or windows opening and closing there, and then go ahead and mark that as complete. From there, maybe I'm going to move to install this window here, and maybe I run into some sort of issue on site. So with Fieldwire here, I can quickly, snap a photo of that issue and then move that into that issues tracking status. And then if you guys are still, sending text messages or phone calls, the internal messaging within Fieldwire is a really excellent way to communicate back to the office. So in this case, what I'm going to do is say @Kevin, our PM in the office, and maybe I'm using gloves and don't want to type using gloves. That voice to text feature, also a really great time saver. So something like, we went to install this window and the rough opening is the wrong size. Can you reach out to the GC to get this fixed? Send a message like that. What you're going to get as a PM in Fieldwire here is a notification in this notification bell, as well as an email, as well as just that visual dashboard of all of those items that need to be addressed in this issue tracking status. From there, maybe I want to go ahead to run a report on all those issues that we're seeing, kind of a trade constraints or a completion type report. Again, super easy to come in here and maybe call out specific items that we're tracking as issues and run that report. We can go ahead and slap your logo in there if you want, and then all of our constraints or issues on site are clearly documented for resolution as the broader project team. So again, that's kind of typically how, interior finish contractors are using Fieldwire to reduce risk and eliminate back charges, reduce risk by having a clean insight into the progress that we're making in the job, having those photos with the work documented clearly to prevent back charges, and basically make sure our job is progressing as needed. I think we have one more poll question, and then we're going to go back to that Q&A.
Yep,
Awesome.
just a quick poll question here. Would you think you would implement parts of this workflow or the entire workflow within your company? A quick yes or no, just to understand the effectiveness of the webinar for us.
Fantastic. 98% yes. Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin and Tal, for going over these workflows.
No problem.
Let me close this poll and then we can dive into the Q&A. We have a few good questions here. And there we go. So let's go into the presentation screen again. Firstly, I just want to clarify this for everyone. Yes, we will be sending you the recording. If you've registered for the webinar, you've attended the webinar, you're going to get another email, a follow-up email with the recording in it. And the recording is going to be uploaded on our YouTube channel as well, so you can rewatch it at any point in time. Also, we do give away certificates. If you want a certificate for attending the webinar, feel free to reach out to me. Just reply on one of the emails that you got for the webinar, and I can send the certificate for you guys. Tal, the first question here is for you. Tal mentioned that we have options for 15 statuses. We have 5. Are we missing something, or is that a different subscription level? Maybe Kevin or Tal, one of you can take this.
Yeah, I can take that one. So it actually is up to 20 statuses now in Fieldwire. And so by default, in that basic free version, it does come with the 5 statuses of priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, complete and verified. But on any of our paid tiers, that pro tier, business tier, or business plus tier, you can have up to 20 statuses and have full customization of those statuses.
Perfect. Thank you. Can I share access to my Fieldwire project with my workers, or is it only for me to use as a project manager? Can you maybe show how you can add more people to the project, Kevin?
Absolutely, yeah. Collaboration, that whole connecting the field and the offices is bread and butter to Fieldwire. So maybe, for example, we have some new personnel on site to add them to the project and immediately get them up to speed. All we do is invite them via email address here. So, toss in our workers' email, and then they'll immediately have access to the project.
And you can also add them to the account. So if you have new employees that want to be added across the entire project, across the entire account, across all your projects, so you can add people here as well.
Exactly.
Perfect. Maybe Kevin, go back and spend like a couple of seconds talking about the different permission levels within the project as well. That way, people have an idea of what kind of permission level to be given.
Absolutely, yeah. So within Fieldwire, for that field access piece, which is the tool set that we've been talking about, plans, tasks, and photos, we have 3 permission statuses, so admin, member, and follower. The easiest way to think about this is, admin is for project managers, people who are setting up the job, creating and deleting things, adding and removing people. Members are typically for that field crew doing the end install. And then a follower permission is more of a view-only experience. So maybe that there's a stakeholder or an owner that you want to have view-only access. That's that follower level permission. And we have a detailed help article that lists out, the exact granularity of those permissions on our website as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kevin. The next question here is, how do I customize a task attribute?
Yeah, excellent question. So within those task attributes, in my opinion, the easiest way to get to that is to just hover over where it says task attributes. And if you're an admin level permission and on the business tier or above, you'll have access to adjust these task attributes. So click that gear icon, and then immediately you have access to that panel where I can maybe add in a new field for, the lay down location. And then I can toggle those statuses on or off or reorder them here with these arrows as well. And those are applied globally for all the tasks within this project. So each task that I create will have those extra attributes. For example, that laydown location that we just added.
And then again, kind of same piece of information as before. If you want to do that at the account level so that you don't have to do it inside each project, you can do that in a template. And then once your template for that job type is created, whenever you create a job from that template, a project from that template, you'll have those same attributes available. So they'll be at the company level.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you, Tal. Thank you, Kevin. The next question here is, Tal, you were basically showing a spreadsheet to load the task data. Is there an option to place a task tag to these tasks, or is that going to be manually done?
Yeah, so great question. Basically, what we do when we're importing tasks is we associate the doors with a plan. So it's pretty, this is pretty specific to our data, but doors, when they're in like the Excel schedule, it's pretty clear, you can identify, let's say, what floor or what area they're in. And you can do that and associate it with the plan. And when you import it, what you'll see is kind of just like Kevin was in that plan view. It'll be associated with the plan, but it won't be dropped on the plan. So then when we go to the opening, we have to drop that pin in the opening. Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there's a position field as well. So if you have the actual coordinates of the item on the plan, then you can put in its X and Y positions, and then it will show up itself on the plan. When we're importing tasks at the level of data that we have, we just don't have that information. So it is a manual process to go from the plan, like that sidebar, to actually dropping it on the plan. Before we discovered that you could input the plan information, it was actually going out from the task itself, associating it with the plan, and then dropping it on the plan. So that was a step that we cut out, and it cut that manual time by more than half.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thanks, Tal. This also answers another question that we had here. Is there an ability to have tasks auto-placed to a door number? Yes, like just by giving that X and Y positions, we have a few customers who do that too. You can just import the tasks using the task importer and everything gets auto-populated on the plans.
Mm-hmm.
The next question, sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
I was just say for most users, I would say the best practice would be to just associate it with that plan overall, and then just drag them from the window here, just kind of going on down the line. To Tal's point, it's pretty quick and easy once you get going, pulling them from this sidebar here onto their specific locations.
Makes sense. The next question that we have is, can we run reports that include all of our active jobs, or must we run report for each of the jobs and combine them ourselves?
So currently the PDF task reports are generated per project. So you would, create those per project. One nice thing too is if let's say you're managing 5 jobs and each week you want to generate a series of reports, you can set that to be a scheduled report. So maybe every week we want to send our open punch items. Rather than setting this to send now, what we can do is set that to go out at a specific date or time to a particular person. And so while we don't offer PDF cross-project reports, you can kind of have a stack of those ready to go in your inbox, on a moment's notice on the date of your choosing.
Awesome. And also, can you just talk about like the CSV export for multiple projects?
Yes, great point, Pranathi. We do offer a cross-project CSV report, which is an Excel CSV type file of a summary of all of those tasks for specific projects that you select here. And
Perfect.
those can be scheduled out as well.
Thank you so much, Kevin. The last question for today here is, how do you add these predetermined checklists when using the import task functionality? Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I can take that one. Yeah, excellent question. So when you name that checklist, so you want to have it into Fieldwire before that bulk import step. And what you're going to want to do is just reference the name of that checklist in the checklist field of that bulk import process. So I'll do an example with checklist here. And then in this checklist field, if I have the name of my checklist in here, it will automatically populate that checklist into the task. So if I go ahead and import this, it will have that checklist preloaded. So that's how Tal is getting those checklists in, by uploading in those door hardware schedules first and then linking them via the name of that checklist in the task importer.
Awesome. Thanks for showing that. And with that question, we are at time. Thank you everyone for attending today. Thanks, Tal and Kevin, for going over these workflows and also answering all the questions. I hope the session was useful, and we would really appreciate it if you could stay over for a couple of minutes after this call ends. There's gonna be a quick link to a feedback survey form and just give us some feedback to determine the usefulness of this webinar. Have a good day, everyone, and take care.
Thanks.
Thank you.